Coming up in today's video, we're going to talk about a huge possible debut plan for SmackDown tonight. Also, in addition to that, The Rock, Roman Reigns, what's happening, WrestleMania, and we are going to talk about a WWE return and how it impacts the rest of the show. Let's talk about it. If you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click that subscribe button and ring that bell. This way you never miss a video on the channel. I want to kick things off with Chad Gable. Obviously, as you guys know, Chad Gable's been hurt for a while. There's been a lot of talk about Chad Gable. What is he going to do? When is he coming back? And then, of course, there's a lot of confusion because Chad Gable used to be El Grande Americano. And I liked him as El Grande Americano. In fact, I don't really have a criticism about him being El Grande Americano. But Ludwig Kaiser has taken that role and has been absolutely incredible with it. And that makes me very intrigued for the future because according to WrestleVotes Radio, Chad Gable is definitely near a WWE return. And in addition to that, WWE plans to bring him in during the Royal Rumble week in Saudi Arabia. However, this is something that WWE has kind of carefully calculated, and that is because WrestleVote says Chad Gable is nearing a return, but El Grande Americano never left. Gable is getting closer to a return into the ring, and we have learned that the plan is for him to be in Saudi Arabia for Royal Rumble week. Despite this, they have also heard there is no immediate plan to move Ludwig Kaiser away from the El Grande Americano gimmick. So I think that's your answer. I think Chad Gable's coming back as a babyface. I think Chad Gable and American Made are going to go after El Grande Americano and the Los Americanos, Bravo and Rayo, whatever. Obviously, they're being portrayed by Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. Listen, I think this makes a lot of sense. I think this would be really fun. I think this would be a very fun feud, especially considering that Chad Gable was actually, the character before. I can't wait to see how WWE turns that into a story. And I think for Chad Gable, he's such a great talent. The injury that he suffered, it's been a big, big, big deal because this was a guy who I think so many of us were waiting for him to win the Intercontinental Championship, possibly a World Championship. And then you have to wonder if that injury may have set him back. But with him coming back, this is a great way to also not be entirely stressed on the body because then you can have Julius and Brutus Creed also do some of the work in the ring. 6-man tag match for Raw would be fun. I don't know. I can't wait to see what WWE does. I really look forward to this, and I think Chad Gable is incredibly missed. I hope that the injury didn't set him back too much because he would be a phenomenal singles champion, but only time will tell. And that brings us to our next topic. Ladies and gentlemen, The Rock possibly having his final match in Saudi Arabia for WrestleMania 43. Well, Andrew Baydala is talking about this, and this has led to a huge conversation, especially on Twitter, because of the fact that The Rock may very well not have many more matches left. Now, there was a plan. I remember hearing about this plan being for The Rock being in WrestleMania 42 and competing at WrestleMania 42. And then, obviously, the reports have come out that The Rock is not going to be there. And instead, it's going to be Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes. Well, I have said this before. Cody Rhodes should turn heel at WrestleMania 42. He should finally sell his soul to The Rock. And if you want The Rock's final match to really, really, really have some impact, you have Roman Reigns as a babyface dethrone The Rock and retire The Rock at WrestleMania 43 in Saudi Arabia. Now, WWE has been rumored to be making a major offer for The Rock to have this match. And of course, Saudi Arabia officials, they're doing a lot of things with WWE. They're pouring a lot of money into WWE for these events. They want these marquee events. It just makes sense. And I think, honestly, it's a great plan. Like, if The Rock is not going to have that many matches left, we want Rock and Roman. Like, that's a match I'm not going to give up on. Maybe you guys will disagree, but I would like to see that match happen. And if that match happens, I will be very, very happy. So at WrestleMania 43, if we get The Rock and Roman and Cody, let's say, for example, Cody is a heel and he finally sells his soul. There's just so many great things that you can do, especially with Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes and The Rock. I think the storyline just doesn't get any better than that. listen, man, this is a year, 2026 is a year for a lot of retirements. And, we know that Brock Lesnar is probably retiring. We know that John Cena just retired. AJ Styles is going to be retiring. Maybe even Chris Jericho. You have to wonder, you really do just have to wonder if maybe it makes sense for The Rock to hold off 1 year. He can make sporadic appearances in 2026, especially if you're going to tell that story with him and Cody. But I think if you have The Rock hold off and he's making these sporadic appearances and then he fights at WrestleMania 43, I think that could be a very good story. If The Rock doesn't show up and it's literally 1 year in the making and we have to wait and wait and wait and he's not active, I'm not necessarily interested in that. So for me personally, I am excited about this possibility. I would like to see this happen. And I think it just really glorifies the thing that we all know, that Roman Reigns is the guy in WWE. And it looks like maybe even his career is coming to an end in the near future. And that brings us to some breaking news. Jordynne Grace is reportedly in town for WWE SmackDown. This was really exciting to me, I think, for a variety of reasons. If you guys know my history covering TNA, and, I'm a huge Jordynne Grace fan. And obviously, when she came to WWE, there's been a lot of fans being impatient. A lot of people have been impatient about this. They want to see Jordynne Grace actually become a big deal, but she hasn't won championship gold in NXT. Well, maybe WWE's holding off on that because according to PW Insider, they've reported that Jordynne Grace is backstage in Buffalo, New York, and is set for a segment with Jade Cargill. This is the first 3-hour SmackDown as part of the new era. USA Network is obviously they're very much invested in everything that's happening with SmackDown, and of course SmackDown going 3 hours. They need more content. They need more fresh faces. Jordynne Grace is absolutely perfect for this. Michin was actually supposed to have a match with Jade Cargill, and now we're in a situation where she might not even have that match with Jade Cargill because she apparently got injured at a live event. So you got to do things. You got to switch it up. I don't know how WWE is going to go about it. How are they going to bridge the gap with Michin being injured? Because they're still advertising that match, by the way. And then how do you introduce Jordynne Grace? I don't know. But Jordynne Grace being on SmackDown is awesome. We're getting these vignettes, Javon Evans, Obafemi, all these people. It looks like WWE is finally starting to look at NXT and make these call-ups. It's going to freshen up the product. It's going to help the product immensely in 2026. So for me personally, I give this a huge thumbs up. But what do you guys want to see? And one thing I do want to make very clear here. If Jordynne Grace is being called up to step in to be a fresh challenger, but then she loses to Jade, I'm not interested in that. And I'm a fan of Jade Cargill, but I don't want freshly called up talent being in a situation where they're put in a position to lose. And that's kind of how I feel about it.